Hey, how's it going? Oliver Carlin here. So we're going to be going over the Simple Budget Spreadsheet that I made, and basically, just some key features of it and see if it's something you would be interested in using or not. So for what you're looking at right here is the dashboard. This is where, if you're using this, you're going to be spending most of your time looking at this. Because this gives you kind of a big bird's eye view of everything going on financially for you in your life. Now, let's just go ahead and dig in a little bit and see how this thing works. So we'll go over here, we'll click on raw income at the bottom. And so these are all the fields you're going to need to fill in. So you're going to need the name of the expense, the monthly cost, the category, the type, if it has debt, like a loan, how much debt is the loan, if there's a credit card, the credit limit, and then if there's a credit card, a minimum payment that's due monthly, or actually any loan at all, anything, what's the minimum payment if you have a loan, and any notes that you have. Now, if you look at the category, it's just all drop down stuff. So you have your allotments. Allotments are simply something where you have scheduled money to go there every month, like maybe a college fund. So you'd have an allotment going into that from your income to a college fund, or business expenses, just a category. You have allotments going towards something out of your income every month. Business expenses, if you do have any business expenses, then that would be the category here. If it's your current savings is in your savings account, medical, dental expenses, regular expenses like water bill, electric bill, your income, how much you're making, mortgage, if you have a mortgage payment, taxes, and then assets. Assets needs a little bit of explaining. Basically, for the purpose of this spreadsheet, an asset is anything that puts money into your bank account every month. All right? So, for example, you might think your house is an asset. Well, if you're living in your house, then that is actually taking money away from you every month. Now, if you own a house that you rent out, let's say the mortgage is $1,700, you rent it for $2,000, and you're making $300 a month on that house. Now that house is an asset because it's bringing money in every month. If that's the case, you would put it under the asset column instead of the mortgage column, right? And that's how that works. Now, let's go back over the overview real quick. So, overview: income, expenses, mortgage, business expense, taxes, medical, dental, allotment, credits. These were all those category line items. This is where they fall into. It's just so wherever you put in the category as well as show up here. Going back to raw income, we have our type. Type is basically going to be anything that's in the pie chart now. So just think of type as your pie chart. So these are just the different categories you can have on your pie chart. If it falls under NA, it won't show up on the pie chart. And if it shows under income, it won't show up on the pie chart. Everything else will. So as you can see, like for my savings, I put NA because I didn't want that on my pie chart. I didn't need to see that. But if you wanted to, you could add it. Just let me know. I'll figure out a way to get it on there for you. But I didn't see the need. Oh yeah, you could add savings if you wanted to. Anyway, that's how that works. If you have a credit card or a loan, like a new car here. So it has a loan. Yes, it has a loan. My loan is $39,000. There's no credit limit because it's not a credit card. And the minimum payment is $512. It's important that you put $512 here. Now, you notice here there is a credit limit. This is a credit card. Has a loan. Yes, I owe $27,000. It's a $30,000 limit. And the minimum payment is $540. But you can see I'm paying $1,600 every month because I'm trying to pay it down. And if you have credit card debt you're trying to pay down, obviously I recommend you do that as well. But the minimum payment is $540. It's very important you put the minimum payment in here as well as the credit limit, because I have formulas on the dashboard that are going to calculate this stuff. And then notes, just if you want to put something in there, you can put notes in there. So that kind of covers this. Go out, get everywhere your money's going every month and plug it in here. We'll go back to the overview and explain this now. So income, this is everything you're making money. Now, if you added this 3 up, it does not equal 8,000. The reason why this says 8,000 is because, remember I said assets bring money into your bank every month. So I have an asset of $22.50. That's getting added to this as well. It just shows up under a different block on my spreadsheet, but it still goes into my income. Gross income is before taxes, net income is after taxes. So this is subtracting your taxes from here to get this number. Expenses, these are all the expenses you have. This gets subtracted from your income. You have your mortgage, it gets subtracted there. Business expense is a little different. So I didn't make it so this gets subtracted from here. What I did was I have an allotment. So if you have a business expense allotment, you'll need to keep it as business expense allotment. And whatever that allotment is, it'll get subtracted from your allotment. So the allotment is getting subtracted from your income. This expenses are getting subtracted from your allotment. The only reason I did it that way is because I wanted to be able to see how much do I have remaining in my allotment every month after my business expenses. That way I know how much more I can spend from my allotment that month, or if I'm going to move that much into my savings for my business savings account for my leftover. So that's why I did it that way. But if a bunch of you don't like it that way, I can always change it. These are all your other allotments. We get subtracted from your income. Your savings doesn't get subtracted anywhere. It just is a snapshot for you to be able to see. Let's see. Assets, we covered assets. And then your debt. Your debt is a little bit tricky here. So you can see I have my new car, second car, credit card, and mortgage. It says how much I owe. And then it has the limit. And then it has the minimum payment. Now the reason all this is important is the reason this is showing up pink is for credit purposes. This, how much you owe in comparison to your limit on that credit card should never go above 30% ratio. So technically this shouldn't be above $10,000 to keep me below the 30% ratio. But if it is, your credit score is going to go down. So if you're above 30% in this ratio, this will show up as red so that you know you're taking a credit hit here. The minimum payments are important because this number here, 2,987, divided by your gross income, 8,000, gives you your DTIR. Your DTIR is your debt to income ratio. This is what lenders are going to determine, are going to look at this percentage when they're thinking about giving you a loan. So if your DTIR is above 42%, there's a slim chance in hell that you're ever going to get a loan from them because 42% is kind of the cutoff. Now, above 36% shows a red flag to the lender. So that's why if you're above 36 here, I make it red. So that way you know, hey, I'm in a red flag zone for a lender. If you're below 36, you're good to go. So that's a good thing to keep an eye on. The leftover, this just tells you how much is left over after you subtract everything from your income. What's left over? This may show up negative for you, or you may have a lot more left over. So you'll have to determine what to do with that. If you're negative, you better figure something out because you can't stay negative every month for too long. Some recommendations I have. They recommend housing, 35% of your income, and 20% for transportation, 15% debt, others 20%, and then investment savings 10%. Now this percentage is multiplied by the net income here to give you how much actual money you should be going to these categories. This is actual, what you're actually putting in those categories. And if you went over it, it shows red, or in the case of savings, if you went below it, it shows red. And then actual percentage you're actually doing. Now, you know, for my debt payment, I know I'm paying more on debt than they recommend, but that's because I'm trying to pay off my credit card, which I have blog posts on how to pay down your debt as well to check those out. So those are your recommendations. And if you're, give you a snapshot there. The pie chart. So the pie chart here is pretty cool. This is all those type categories I showed you. So this just lets you say, hey, what are my biggest expenses. This is so much easier than looking at a bunch of numbers, right? Now you get a graphical image to see in comparison which categories are wearing you down financially compared to others. So you might see, for example, my housing used to take up half of this circle. Now it's only a small portion. So if you have a piece of the pie that's huge, overwhelming to the others, then you might want to fix that. Anyway, there's your image. And then lastly is the budget period here. You can change this. So you can see 12 months, see how much money you'd be making in 12 months. Or you can go down to 6 months, 4 months, 3 months. I normally keep it on a month for most of the time, but it's cool to see what you'd have if you were doing a year or something like that. And that's pretty much the Simple Budget Spreadsheet. The last thing I'll show you here, so basically, just go into your raw income, get all your numbers, plug them in, follow what I tell you to do in this video, take a look at your overview to see how everything is going, if you have any red flags or whatever. And the bill tracker. Yeah, the bill tracker is just kind of a bonus I threw in there. I was having trouble keeping track of when my due dates were because some of them wouldn't allow auto pay. So if you print this thing out and throw it on your fridge or something, you can see, okay, on the 1st I got something, the 4th, the 20th I got a couple things due. That way you don't forget, because it's so easy to forget every month, especially when you have multiple houses and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it. Again, I came up with this thing because I couldn't really find anything else out there that would give me everything I wanted in the way that I wanted to see it. So that's why I came up with this. Now, if there's something you think can be improved on or you'd like to see done differently, just let me know. Shoot me an email. You can put a comment on the blog post where this video's at, and I'll figure out a way to get that so that it works for you. And let's see, did I miss anything? I covered the pink, the reds. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. All right. Well, I hope it works out for you, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.